Imagine looking up at the sky one evening, and instead of the familiar moon and stars, you see enormous, glittering rings stretching across the horizon. A sight so spectacular that no photograph or painting could do it justice. But what would it be like if Earth actually had rings, just like Saturn? How would it change the way we live, the way we see the sky, and even the climate on our planet? Today, we're going to explore this fascinating what-if scenario and dive into the incredible possibilities of an Earth with rings. We're all familiar with Saturn's magnificent rings, perhaps the most iconic feature in our solar system. Saturn's rings are made up of billions of tiny ice particles, dust, and rocky debris that orbit the planet, creating a stunning halo. But what if Earth had a similar system of rings? How would it have formed? And what would our world look like under these cosmic spectacles? Rings around Earth could have been possible if, billions of years ago, a large moon or asteroid shattered close to the planet, its fragments eventually settling into orbit as a ring system. It's not entirely outside the realm of possibility, given that Earth already has a history of catastrophic impacts, like the one that likely formed our moon. But the real question is, what would the sky look like with these rings, and how would they affect life on Earth? Let's start with what we'd see when we look up. Unlike Saturn, which is a gas giant much farther from the Sun, Earth is much closer, meaning that our rings would likely be made of denser rock and ice particles, and they'd be brighter and more vivid to the naked eye. They would stretch across the sky in massive arcs, visible during both day and night. Depending on where you are on Earth, the rings would look very different. At the equator, the rings would form a stunning giant halo overhead, glowing white and silver in the sunlight during the day, and shimmering like a cosmic river of light against the stars at night. Imagine a permanent display of beauty, like the Milky Way, but far more intense and detailed. In the northern and southern latitudes, the rings would look more like curved, shimmering bands rising from the horizon, stretching across a huge portion of the sky. And during certain times of the year, they might even cast shadows on Earth, creating eerie, dappled patterns of light across the landscape. But what about the effects these rings would have on Earth itself? Would they just be a beautiful sight? Or would they change the way our planet works? Well, rings around Earth wouldn't just be a pretty backdrop. They would actually have some serious impacts on our environment. For one, the rings would block some sunlight, particularly at the equator, leading to cooler temperatures in some regions. This could dramatically change weather patterns and possibly affect the distribution of ecosystems and climates around the globe. For example, areas under the rings might experience cooler days and longer periods of twilight, while other parts of the planet would be more exposed to sunlight. Over time, this could lead to changes in agriculture, wildlife migration, and even human settlement patterns. In addition to that, these rings could act as space debris collectors, potentially preventing harmful objects, like meteoroids, from reaching Earth's surface, a bit like a natural planetary shield. However, the debris in the rings themselves could pose a threat to satellites or space missions, making space travel a bit more tricky. Imagine the cultural impact as well. These rings would have a profound effect on how we view time, space, and even religion. In ancient times, humans would have likely built entire mythologies around these massive, glowing arcs in the sky. They could have served as celestial markers for religious festivals, agricultural calendars, and navigation systems. Even today, think about how the rings would become symbols of beauty and wonder, inspiring artists, poets, and storytellers for centuries. Our entire perception of the night sky would be radically different, with the rings dominating every painting of a sunset or sunrise. Perhaps entire cities would be built with views of the rings in mind, much like how we build beachfront homes today. So, what if Earth had rings like Saturn? It would be a world where the sky is never the same again. a world where brilliant, glittering arcs of rock and ice stretch across the heavens, casting shadows on the land and changing the way we live and interact with our planet. The rings would cool certain regions, affect weather, and even protect Earth from meteoroids, while also inspiring countless stories, religions, and cultures. It's fun to imagine what it would be like to live on a planet with such a magnificent display in the sky. But for now, it remains a beautiful, cosmic, what-if scenario. I hope you enjoyed this journey into a world where Earth has rings like Saturn. If you found this video interesting, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Deep Cosmos for more mind-blowing space content. Let me know in the comments what other what-if space scenarios you'd like us to explore next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.